welcome back to Indiana Diecast Racing in the continuing action of the Final Fantasy Fracas. Today we've got groups 10 and 11 of round 2. First up today, it's the indomitable Numbskull in one of his 4 remaining bubble gunners. This one he drove to rack up an impressive 15 in round 1, albeit in a group that had 2 drivers never reach the finish line. Representing G4 Diecast Racing, Senor G accrued 11 points in his pixel shaker named after a Disney rooster. Due to the low clearance of turns 1 and 2, Senor G has been forced to doff his very fine hat, which may make him faster or slower. We'll have to see shortly. From Dogtown Racing, a driver I've been looking forward to seeing on track again, it's Huggy Butt. In the first round, HB finished second or better on the 3 laps he completed in his Mod Rod Holland Heat mashup, beating Miss Carrie in a runoff that would send her to an epic series of wildcard races. And in probably the sportiest mail delivery vehicle ever, Cliff Clavin is driving for Down Squad Racing. He only put up 6 points late in the first round and is the clear underdog of the group. Numbskull and Senor G up front, Huggy and Cliff in the back. Senor G quickest off the line, but Numbskull sails through turn 1. G makes a move for the lead, but he's unable to clear Numbskull, who gets in front from the outside in Echo Base. They all spread out a bit, and lap 1 is ooh! Senior G wrecks on the home stretch, a spinning Huggy Butt is unable to find the right line, and despite a hard hit, the pair collect a super light Cliff Clavin just shy of the finish line. It's a triple DNF reminiscent of the old finish funnel days. The whole lap was so smooth I can't believe it wound up as a triple DNF, all due to Senor G's problems on the final straight while he was nowhere near anyone else. Numbskull alone on the board after 1. Huggy Butt assumes the pole, Cliff behind him on the inside lane. I think I figured out why Senor G wrecked on lap 1. He's not even using his hands to drive. Numbskull and Senor G both pass Huggy as they enter turn 2. It's a fairly close replication of lap 1, though Senor G successfully navigates the final straight for second, and Cliff Clavin makes a late pass to steal third from Huggy Butt. It almost looks like Huggy got slow in the final turn, allowing Cliff to pit him and pull ahead. Numbskull now 2 for 2, he's way out front. Cliff and Huggy share the front row for lap 3. Senor G still refusing to use his hands, and Huggy Butt gets railroaded past Cliff for the lead. Huggy doing everything he can to keep Numbskull in the field behind him. Huggy Butt wrecks, and so does Senor G in the back. Numbskull will coast to the turkey, and we've got our second triple DNF in 3 laps as Cliff is stuck behind Huggy Butt's Inverted Frankenstein. New band name, Inverted Frankenstein. Huggy Butt has to be massively disappointed as he was well positioned to take a much needed lap victory, but Numbskull forced the issue and the result was a wreck of all 3 other drivers. Numbskull is basically Dale Earnhardt. He clinches the group win, and as we head to the final lap, second place is still totally up for grabs. With a 1-point lead over Huggy Butt and Cliff Clavin, Senor G assumes the final pole position start. Now might be a good time for this video's friendly reminder to get over to Rust Belt Customs for all your custom decal and diorama needs. Josh, was that okay? Can we watch the Frozen 4-banger now, please? Cliff is wrecked in Echo Base and Huggy Butt is stalled. Senor G doesn't even need to finish this lap. Wait, Numbskull sweeps the group, and Senor G advances in second place despite wrecking on lap 4 and only scoring 3 points, which I think is a tournament record, though definitely a dubious one. On to Group 11, and Numbskull will get right back on track in another one of his cars, this one a Power Pipes that, just like his bubble gunner on Group 10, put up 15 in round 1. Also putting a second car on track today is G4 Diecast with CG1 at the helm of an Acura HSC. CG1 won his group with 11 points, only placing worse than second when he DNF'd. From White Knuckle Motoring in a Scream and Holler, it's Piper Jean. This is Piper's second tournament at IDR, having reached round 3 of the Death Race in a Rescue Ranger. And from Arlo Racing, Kay is in her track tune. Kay advanced to round 2 after winning a 3-way runoff for second place of her first round group. Numbskull starts on the pole. Hopefully his competitors can manage more than one complete lap this time. CG1 fast out of the gate, and he beats Numbskull to turn 2. The pair pull away from Piper and Kay, and they'll go 1 and 2. Whoa, Kay is the latest driver to be saved by the new safety wall. She takes third, just ahead of Piper Jean. Well, it's not often that someone can outpace a Numbskull car, but CG1 looks like he may be just that unicorn. And here's a good sign, everyone finishes lap 1. Piper Jean assumes the pole. Hopefully she can get a good finish to offset the lap 1 last place. She's slow through 1 though, and that'll let Numbskull and CG1 to build another large early lead. Numbskull's way out front, attempting to make me eat my earlier words. They come to the final straight, and Numbskull picks up the win on lap 2. Kay tries to ride the wall again. She'll take 4th just behind PJ. Ludicrous speed. Numbskull and CG1 are now tied atop the group, 4 points ahead of Piper Jean and Kay. Kay's first chance today on the front row, Piper Jean outside. Kay somewhat easily gains the advantage, but CG1 is right there watching for mistakes. Kay fends off an attack. They round the square, she rides the wall again, but gets a much needed win on lap 3. And Piper Jean and Numbskull slide to a stop just short of the finish line. I don't know why, but Kay's car really likes that eastern wall of the final straight. With Numbskull's DNF, CG1 jumps out to a 3-point lead. Kay moves into a tie with Numbskull for second, and Piper Jean is all but eliminated, 4 points behind the pair. What makes the standings all the more impressive is that only now is CG1's pole position start. The ladies are very slow on the turn 1 crossover, allowing CG1 and Numbskull to do what they do best, fly way ahead. They fly through the course, and CG1 wins by the largest margin today. Numbskull is second, Kay is third, and Piper Jean slides, but claims 4th. CG1 wins the group, and Numbskull just edges out Kay for second. A wide range of scores today, but Numbskull and G4 both advanced 2 to round 3. Congratulations to Numbskull, CG1, and Senor G. This has been Jim D for Indiana Diecast Racing. Be sure to check it next time for more slightly above mediocre diecast racing and the continuing round 2 action of the Final Fantasy Fracas.